I want attacking, purposeful football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And puts player back in front.
I don't know about you guys, but if I see one bloke walking out of here, give the pat on the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
From inside the centre square, Boyd kicked the goal. Boyd kicked the goal from inside the centre.
Hey Pack, welcome to Danny Boyd. It's a podcast about that football club that you love so much. The Footscray Football Club, Proprietary Limited. They trade as Western Bulldogs. I'm Danny McGinlay. On the other side of the internet today is Tom Boyd. We were going to be in the same room recording this episode, but when you have a win like that against one of the premiership favourites, arch rival, where you just destroy them in the third quarter and you take your best player off in the third quarter because you know you've won. No one can wait for that. So that is why we are recording early. Tom Boyd is holed up in a luxury resort in Queensland, talking to his accountants on how to move everything to the Cayman Islands. Boydie, how did you feel about the Dogs once again winning the Tom Boyd Cup?
Yeah, I am absolutely ecstatic. I think it is really nice for our optimism to be paying off because the two of us, at least in concept, agreed that we're actually a really good team this year, but we just had a couple of things go our way and we've had some really crappy injury results. And now look at us. We bring the man, the myth, our Lord and Saviour, Marcus Bontempelli, back, and all of the wheels start turning. It was like the secret sauce that we needed to make the Big Mac, if you will. All came back to fruition. So, mate, it's been awesome. And look, there's nothing quite as sweet as beating the Giants in the nation's capital on Anzac Day or thereabouts. On
Anzac weekend. Yeah, I was disappointed that it was Anzac weekend just because I had a really good banner. Because with the banners, I've got some guidelines I've got to follow. Whereas Giants, it was. I was told by someone at the club, a direct quote, look, I'm not saying all bets are off, but you can go a bit harder. And then we remembered it was Anzac round, so we had to be all respectful and whatnot.
Did you used to, when you used to do the banners, did you used to have any, of the big holidays? Because I feel like if it's a bit one of those things where if you actually look across the calendar for the year and you look at any of the social causes / obviously days of memorial or public holidays, like there's something on every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
it feels like,
which is good because sometimes you also factor in milestone matches. You do a normal banner, then suddenly it's someone's 100th, and then it's Anzac round, and then it's you might have another couple of normal banners, and then it's Indigenous round, and then multicultural round, but it's good. It breaks it up because sometimes I have no ideas, so it's good to just suddenly go, oh, sweet.
Yeah, okay, well, let's skip ahead and make this about me again because this seriously is my thoughts thinking. Next year's the 10-year reunion of the grand final.
Yeah.
What sort of material are we looking to work with? Let's not get to the detail, but what have we got to play with in the game? Because there will be a game next year that is the grand final.
You reckon? I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. I reckon because you remember. I mean, you were in the room, but I was told start of the 2017 season we're not talking about the premiership win anymore because Bevo wanted to focus on the here and now. And, the next job.
How did that go?
Yeah, really badly. Oh, I was furious at it because I was like, hey, Bevo, you've been at the club 3 years and we love you, but we have waited our whole lives for this. We're going to celebrate it a little bit longer, mate. Where I could see why he was thinking that. So I would be surprised, actually, if there might be just one game where you're all there as a reunion, but I don't think I'll be allowed to put anything on the banner because they'll want us to focus on the here and now. And also, look, when we win the flag this year, Bevo might bring in the same rule of we're not talking about last year's premiership win. We're focused on the here and now and going back to back.
All right, let's not get bogged down in reality.
Okay, all right.
What? Because actually, the more you do think about it, it is sort of one of those things where you probably don't get to put it on the banner, do you?
No. Do you know what I would love to do? And it would require a bit of choreography. I would say let's have two banners. Let's have one where the 2016 Premiership side all run out through another banner, just so the crowd can all celebrate you guys and love you. What I would do is on one side of the banner, it's just got the commentary that we use at the start of this. Boyd's kicked a goal, Boyd's kicked a goal. I was expecting that. And then the choreography is you run through the banner exactly where the swear word is with Toby on your back so they can show it on camera. And it's just you, and then you blur it out with your massive hulking man brute frame, and that's what you run through. That's what I would go with.
Yeah, not as hulking as it once was, Danny. I'm doing 100 days booze free.
Yeah, you're also doing 100 days going to the gym. I'd say that's why you're losing weight.
Oh well, booze has calories, I'm told.
What are you on now, weight wise?
Oh mate, I couldn't tell you.
All right,
could not tell you.
You are looking good.
I'm not tracking details. I'm tracking feelings. That's where I'm at in my life.
Yeah, fair enough.
But also, we're going to try and raise some money for charity, so it's all for a good cause. My mates do it every year. Here's maybe a different question then, because I tend to agree. So let's say that next year's fixture is the exact same.
Okay.
What round and game do you do the 10-year reunion in?
I would say...
Because presuming it hasn't happened yet, right? That's my presumption. It's presuming it happens later in the year.
Yeah. Do you want to... I mean, the obvious suggestion is against Sydney, but I think that's a little mean-spirited considering they've lost 2 grand finals since then. And also, do you know what I would love? And this is pure vindictiveness. St Kilda. Do it against St Kilda. Yeah. Oh, you got a better one? What?
Well, Giants is round 21.
Yeah, I mean,
that is vindictive, right? Because that's like Leon, Cal, me, Griffin,
Dylan Addison.
And Chalor hopefully will still be playing.
Yeah, I mean Matt Kennedy. I didn't know he was a Giant until they talked about it on the weekend. Lobby,
dude. There's like 15 people involved in that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Considering that club's only 14 years old, that's pretty impressive how much back and forth we've had.
Yeah, and also the real stinger of the whole fact is that was their year. You know what I mean? Like, they obviously made the grand final in 2019. 19. And got their brakes blown off by Richmond.
Yeah.
But that was the...
because they would 2017 they made the prelim and Richmond beat them, but not comprehensively. I think it was only a 20-point win in the end.
Yeah, but because they'd had a few big games against Sydney, they were absolutely up and going, and that was all. The other thing was from a proof point at the AFL headquarters, that was still their first round of draft picks that was still there.
Yep.
So it was like, hey, we actually can bring a club in and build them to a really significant competitive and even victorious level within 4 or 5 years. And you can just imagine the furor from people like Saints supporters or Bulldog supporters for that matter at that time if they had won the premiership then.
Oh, mate, we would have been absolutely furious. But that was part of the magic of the game. In that film, Outsiders, there's a great quote from Terry Wheeler, who doesn't do much Bulldogs media, but talking about how we had, the Giants had everything handed to them, money, players, draft picks, everything that we never got. So it really was just such a battle of the haves and the have-nots, blood and boots versus the plastics. It really was, it was perfect. I mean, it was just such a perfect night of football. Is there anything? I don't think anything will ever top the 2016 prelim for Bulldogs fans. It's just such a and now we're 10 years on. It's so romanticised. It's just everyone's got a story of where they were. Where were you again?
Yeah, I feel like everyone. I sort of get two stories of it. I feel like the romanticism of that game is more around the entirety of the 4 games.
Yeah.
There's a romantic, this was obviously a fairy tale. And that comes from Bulldogs fans and non-Bulldogs fans alike. But I think the other side of it is when they just break it down to what was the best, one of the best games they've ever seen, one of the best arm wrestles
Yep.
with really massive moments, storyline after storyline after storyline, both before the game, during and after. That's the game that everyone, regardless of who they support, always talks about. It's like, that's the game.
Yeah, it was voted match of the decade by Fox Footy. I reckon we could probably get it up to match of the century if they did that vote. But let's talk about last Saturday night. I mean, there was so many good. I mean, we talk about great stories. So many people just were. It's getting to the point where it's probably easier to talk about who had a bad game. And so I will talk about Toby Green. How funny was it when he was running into an open goal, hit the post?
I didn't see that. Honestly, that's one of those, when they mock up, there was a certain player that used to play at the Giants who has since moved clubs and had a really average first game of the year. And they did a reenactment of all of his best moments. And every time that something bad happened, they put that silly animated noises over when he kicked and he missed it.
Oh no.
And I feel when I watched that without any sound, I was just presuming there was a banana peel sound or something. Because Toby's dude, he's been a bit our nemesis, hasn't he? He's always been really tough for us to match up on.
Very much. And the times when he kicked Luke Dalhouse in the face at Docklands, when he scratched Bont's eyes out, yeah.
Caleb up in Canberra.
Yeah,
I feel like that was honestly those type of issues that Toby had. They actually stopped everywhere else in all the other games for the most part, except against us.
Yeah,
and then they haven't really happened in the last 5 or 6 years. I would say.
I guess it's like my guidance with the banner. They've said to Toby, all right, you can have a few free swings against the Bulldogs, but then you got to go back in line.
We'll let some steam out.
Yeah.
There's a guy in the NBA called Draymond Green who had a history of it where, all of a sudden he'd, flail for a foul and he'd just at the same time kick people in the knackers.
Yeah, nice.
It was, mate, there was 25 different examples of him hitting people in the crotch. And it was just one of those things where, everyone was like, wait, what is happening here? You have to be trying to do this on purpose.
Oh, yes.
Now, I don't know if that's the case with Toby, but I certainly know that it's I feel like it was certainly the case with Draymond. At least I think some of the remember when they were really focusing on it with Toby, and there was all of the actual malicious ones where the ones that happened against us, but then he started being really good at using his feet to defend in marking contests.
Yeah, that was the horrible thing. Yeah,
and then there was one of those things where it was it's a pretty good tactic when he doesn't kick you in the head.
Well, I mean, I don't want to praise him for kicking our boys in the face, but all right, let's go through just who was amazing for us. Both Baileys were really good. Harms 4 goals. No one saw that coming.
Yeah. I thought he had a sore foot still.
He might. He was just that good. The media's now locked on to Dr. Crane. Actually, last night, let me tell you this. Last night on the couch, Jonathan Brown, who I love as a person, I did his radio show a fair few times. He's always a ripping bloke to hang out with. It suddenly dawned on him that Joel Frazier sounds like Joe Frazier. So why aren't we calling him Smokin' Joe? Which, but interestingly though, then the not Jack Revolt, the one who was next to him, the Hawthorn guy, Lewis. Jordan Lewis said they're calling him Baby Bont. And hilariously, Jonathan Brown said, no, you need your own nickname, Smokin' Joe Frazier. I'm going, hang on, that's not your own nickname. You've just brought in a boxers.
Yep.
Anyways, Dr. Crane, as we always say on this show, he's not Fridge. He's not Smokin' Joe. He's Dr. Crane. And that is the hill that I will die on. Nickname jury locked in.
We may argue about names, but I don't think anyone's arguing that he can seriously play footy.
He's only 19. Did you know? I could have sworn he was older.
Yeah. And it did seem like maybe it did seem a little bit like a case of I couldn't from a long way away discern the difference if they was flashing past whether it was Jason Johannesson or whether it was him with the ball at times because they've both got those long legs and curly hair. And if you're not paying attention, you could be forgiven for thinking that they were the same player because for a guy who plays in and around the ball, he's got a clean set of heels.
Oh, yes.
He moves really well. He's obviously hitting the scoreboard, gets a heap of the ball, which is usually a great indication of future success in my experience, because if you're a midfielder who, like, say, like Riley Sanders, right? Riley Sanders didn't get a lot of the footy to start his career.
Yep.
Which is always why people start to get a bit nervous, because winning the ball is usually the thing that most players who are drafted as midfielders are amazing at, right? And he was struggling, sort of getting sort of 10, 12, 14 touches a game. He's starting to build up now and starting to look like a real weapon for us at different times. But Fraser's the opposite. He's come in and he's getting close to 30 touches almost every week, which is it's a massive asset for us. And again, like I harped on about this all preseason and probably quite a large portion of last year, is that the age demographic in our midfield is a real concern that is now starting to feel way better.
Yeah.
Because Max is in there, Fraser's in there, Bont's able to play almost like that extra special seasoning on the meal rather than needing to do absolutely everything himself, even though, let's be honest, he still does. Lib is playing his best footy. We've got Adam Treloar coming back through the wings with a test this week. It's like now we've got too many.
Yeah.
Ed Rich is having a fantastic year.
Davidson.
Sanders is playing his best footy. Timmy English is playing some of the best footy we've seen. It is honestly like we've got so many people to choose from. And, it must be a fun place to be at the moment at the Kennel. And I saw Harmsy talking about his move from Melbourne to the Bulldogs. And there was like a question as though he was like pushed out at Melbourne. And he basically said like a lot of it was on me because I wasn't enjoying playing footy there. I felt like I'd lost the love for the game a bit. I was playing like, it felt very, very much like a heavy job was kind of what he was saying.
Okay.
And he said like he's just walked in and he's basically raved about how fun it is to be back playing footy at the Bulldogs and how enjoyable an environment is, which I think we've sort of spoken about a couple of times. If that wasn't the case, so many of these young boys wouldn't be playing with the freedom that they are. And I think, again, we can only look from the outside and perceive what we can see. It seems to me like Bevo has taken a massive turn in terms of his energy levels, his way of allowing the boys to play with some freedom, to make some mistakes. It just seems different to me as an outsider who's obviously played under Luke for a number of years. So I think we're in just such a great position. I just hope we continue to hold on to this feeling of freedom and keep this gravy train running.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this Saturday will be such a telltale sign because in the last few years, whenever we get some momentum like this, we then choke against the team we should be beating. We'll lose to West Coast at Docklands or whatever. So Port, they're not having a great season. They've beaten some very easy teams. They've also beaten Hawthorn, which was hilarious. And for us to play them at the fortress of Ballarat, it'll really tell us where we're at. Because if we win this, wow, that's everything's coming up Millhouse.
Here we go. Now, there are obviously a number of very, 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 very big questions in and around the Bulldogs at the moment, Danny. I tell you what, if it's not people off the field and their actions, which I actually have some thoughts on for today's discussion, if it's not where we're heading, the team selection, you've got the list of questions that our Patreons have obviously sent in for our Ask Us Anything to celebrate 200 monthly members, which has now gone up to 204 or 205. So if you're not a part of it, it's $5 a month, Danny, to get the
$5 a month. That's like, not even 30 cents a day, is it? Let me do the maths on that. Depends which month, obviously. February, it costs a little bit more, and that's ironic considering we barely have any contents to give in that time. But it's like 16.1 cents a day just to get extra content from us, and we are getting a bit more. So today, what Boydie's hinting at, if you don't know, we're about to do an Ask Us Anything, AUA, for the Patreons exclusively, where we will give our brutal, honest answers to all of the issues that you want to know. You've heard the media talk about it, and if you want to get on board, just jump on. You can even do a free trial if things are a bit tight at the moment. I know cost of living's there, but and that just helps Boydie and I feed our kids and keep doing this because man, if we could go full time with this, imagine how much info you'd get, how much content if we didn't have to do our real jobs. Wouldn't that be brilliant, Boydie? I mean, we still need probably about 1 million people to join before that, but.
I do get asked on a regular basis, hey, have you ever considered going into the media? And the answer is a firm no, that I do not have any interest in going to repeat myself or repeat other people's things in 25 to 30-second sound bites, either on radio or television. However, if the question was, would you like to go full-time at Danny Boyd Productions, which is not yet registered as a company, we do not have the funds for that, then that would certainly be a yes. And again, to Danny's point, like we obviously do this and it does take a lot of our time in and around all of the other things that we've both got going on. And we love doing it and we would do it for free and we have done it for free. But if you get in and join us at the Patreon, we have the ability to interact with you guys a bit more, show a bit more love. We end up following a bunch of you on Instagram and social media and all that stuff so we can interact a bit more freely. It is a really, really good place to be. And also, there's almost like a little secret Danny Boyd fraternity growing in and around the Bulldogs, like a small cult following that knows each other and locks eyes when we do go to the footy or other events. And it's a really nice place to be. So jump on board. We're going to answer all of the tough questions and really, I suppose, get a view of what's going to happen this week.
Yep. So get on board. In fact, we're going to stop talking right now. We're going to hide behind the paywall. Hey, even if you if you can't join us, thanks for listening. We hope your team wins. Get down to Ballarat or watch on TV. Just be loud and enjoy your democracy sausage whilst you watch the Dogs win.
I gave my childhood to that roar of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had to love the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there. And they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets.